The August 2021 Pokemon Direct provided us with more information about Legends Arceus. This was our first proper trailer, better in every way than the teaser we got earlier that year. And with it came new revelations, including 2 or 3 misconceptions about our expectations for the game. If you're watching this, you've likely already seen the Direct, so I'll skip the obvious stuff and go more in depth, analyzing what we've already been shown. The first misconception is about the scope of the game. This is one that Game Freak was trying to warn us about for years. Every time a journalist interviewed Game Freak, they nearly always asked if an open world, as in a free roaming exploration, Pokemon game was in the works. And Game Freak always answered no. Then, in the teaser trailer for Legends Arceus, we only see the player character in the tutorial area of the game. It took them an artistic map with road-blocking mountain ridges and an in-game version with clouds covering unexplored locations in order to convince people that they were lying to themselves about the game. However, small hints have been given that some form of open exploration might be included. In this shot from the Direct, there are no clouds covering the Mount Coronet and the opposite area in the map. Unless the location that should be endgame content was explored and crossed as part of the early story, one can presume that the rest of Hisui, or Ancient Sinnoh, will open up after completing the tutorial. This is the same formula used in Zelda Breath of the Wild's Great Plateau and in Immortal Phoenix Rising's Clashing Rocks. Both games also had obscured maps, which were unlocked at observation points. The second misconception works with the game not being open world. Many people have presumed that Legends Arceus will play like Zelda Breath of the Wild. And that is true, but only to a minor extent. No, we may not be able to rush to Arceus like Link could rush to Ganon. While we haven't seen weather patterns or breaking Pokemon, crafting, shops, and a lack of towns in favor of stables, or in Legend Arceus' case, camps, are implemented, as well as a ton of side quests that usually involve finding and bringing back things found while journeying. However, Breath of the Wild isn't a main source for the story progression system. Like how Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are a blend of core Pokemon and the mobile hit Pokemon Go, Legends Arceus is a merging of core Pokemon and Pokemon Snap. What other Pokemon intellectual property are you aware of that makes a Pokédex harder to complete than catch the Pokemon once, and even sends you back out to observe specific behaviors in the wild? Imagine if in new Pokemon Snap, you weren't required to stay on the railroad, could carry Pokemon to defend yourself, and could complete every research quest and image in one trip, but the ability to unlock new areas still depended on your research level. What you'll have is only a couple steps away from what we see in Legends Arceus. A minor third misconception is about the setting of Legends Arceus. Clarified before even seeing any Legends Arceus footage, this game takes place in a time before the Canalave library and its myths were made. This is a time when Pokemon were feared and lived their lives separate from humans, instead of being equals in all things. This is why I said in my previous video, Surmising Legends Arceus, that we would see the truth behind the myths. There is a decent probability that our player characters will witness the events as they happened instead of how they were passed on. Now that the misconceptions are out of the way, let's look more in depth at what Legends Arceus has to offer. As mentioned before, crafting is in this game, including the crafting of Apricorn Balls. Some people are deliberately taking offense at this, since we were told Kurt from Johto is a specialist. However, not only isn't this the first game since then where crafting such balls is possible, we also have to remember the circumstances for Kurt to be a specialist. Kurt lives in the time of digital mechanical Pokeballs, and his traditional crafts are almost a lost form of art. It would make sense that in a time before computers and digital storage, more people had to rely on Apricorn Balls, making them not as rare and even a requirement for anyone who wanted to capture Pokemon for their own protection. As part of either the main story, side quests, or just appearing infrequently in the overworld, angry red-eyed Pokemon will be involved with your adventuring. These boss Pokemon are highly aggressive and will likely wipe any underprepared players. While I am glad that I called to this part of the story, I did personally prefer if there was a gang of poachers and their own fortified bases to take care of. Unfortunately, based on the artistic map showing the Galaxy Exploration team visiting every corner of Hisui, such hopes are only possible in my imagination. Then again, by having no evil gang, Legends Arceus is another breath of fresh air onto what the definition of a Pokemon journey is supposed to be. One thing that both excited me and made me momentarily worried was the new battle system. Instead of being turn-based, an ATB, or active time battle, system was implemented using weight as the default. As seen in several Final Fantasy games, character speed is taken at a real-world pace, and once it's time for said character to move, the world would pause and let the player choose their action. In addition, a new mechanic that should have been named Rapid Strike and Single Strike was introduced. By having Strong Style and Agile Style reduce or increase the effectiveness of a move, you can speed up or slow down your ATB speed, allowing you or your opponent to do multiple actions before the other's next attack. What excited me about this mechanic was how far ahead the time was calculated. This action order menu shows several of our moves in advance. This length would not be necessary unless it was possible for more than one wild Pokemon to participate in the battle. There is more evidence towards the potential for battling multiple wild Pokemon at once, whether from the start like a horde in Kalos, or because they wander in like SOS from Alola. As I observed in my prior videos surmising Legends Arceus, there has only ever been one wild Pokemon loaded in on each battle screen. This remains true in the August Pokemon Direct. Even when we see boss Pokemon with their pre-evolutions in the background. Even as we watch multiple Golduck attack the player at once while riding Widear in the overworld, or even when we are told that Hisui and Growlithe always live and work in pairs, we only ever see combat with no other wild Pokemon loaded in. But with that excitement came a worry. How would an ATB weight system work for online multiplayer? For simplicity's sake, let's assume that all moves have an ATB speed of 2, Agile Style is twice as fast with an ATB of 1, and Strong Style is 4. With so many options for how long a move can take, the action order list becomes nearly useless beyond the first 2 or 3 actions. Second, what happens if a player wants a timer stall? ATB wait would literally make the opponent wait until the current turn player's timer is up. And if their last attack was a Strong Style, and the timer scummer can make 4 Agile Style attacks before they can move again... Luckily, Game Freak seems to agree with me. In their press release about the games, clarification was hidden in their notes that PvP battles would not be included in Legends Arceus. While a better option would have been to implement an ATB active option into the game settings, or turning on turn-based combat, I can understand the first game using the Legends mechanic would hold off on doing anything too complicated for their first game. Sorry if you're disappointed, Pokken fans. Maybe the next game will be faster and closer to your combat system. While the graphics are still not at their best, there are 2 clues to what is potentially happening here. First off, notice how there is only one draw range in Legends Arceus. This is not how most, if not all, modern 3D games are rendered. It is not uncommon for there to be 3 or more different models and or textures for the same tree, with their quality improving as the player character gets closer. It is possible that in order to achieve these wide shots in Legends Arceus, when the camera is still tethered to the player's location, the high-quality draw ranges were removed or turned off in the game's settings. The next clue is Widear. We see several clips of the player riding on its back. In most, the camera bounces with his stride. However, in this shot, there is no such camera jiggle, and no other ride Pokemon causes such motions. It is possible that 2 different versions of the game were used to capture footage. That most of Widear came from the older version, and the new version reduced or removed its graphical updates to maintain a visual consistency with the rest of the trailer. Finally, we got some information about cross-connectivity. We know that Legends Arceus, as well as Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, can connect to Pokemon Home. However, we do not yet know the extent of cross-region connectivity. For example, Basculin, Braviary, and Growlithe are Galar legal Pokemon. Will an update allow us to transfer Basculegion and the other Hisuian forms into Pokemon Sword and Shield? And will they be competitive legal? Or will Legends Arceus be treated like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, a subset of boxed Pokemon that cannot be transferred into and have limits on exporting? That's all I have to discuss for now. If you believe I've missed a detail, or I'm wrong about anything, please feel free to discuss it civilly in the comments. Legends Arceus is definitely improving, it is looking like a game I want to play more and more, and I hope that the sequels I discussed in my video Surmising Legends Arceus become reality.